Okay. Hello. 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 All right. So I love this topic, and this is a very timely episode because I'm turning 43 in a few days. And there are some challenges that I have discovered. Are you with me? Some challenges in being in the 40 plus crew, or I'd even say late 30s and up, because aging up in here is definitely in full swing right now. I actually had a really fun podcast episode a couple years ago called You're 40 Not Dead. If you want to check that out, it's episode 27. So I started talking about some of this stuff, but it's getting real. Shit's getting real now, you know? So I wanted to do an entire episode about what it means to age gracefully in a Botox world. And just going to say right off the bat, if you do Botox, this is not villainizing Botox, but it's the culture that we live in. I'm going to dig into all of that in this episode. But, you know, if you're with me, your thyroid's off, your skin's changing, the workouts do nothing. Like, it's a mess. And where do we go from here? Like, how do we age in a way that we're proud of and that's thoughtful and intentional? So if you're interested in any of that, I'm so glad you're here. And if you're not, stick around. There might be nuggets in here that you really identify with. So before I get into all of that, I want to say hi. I'm Janie. I'm a joy coach for moms. A lot of us get to middle age or even before that, and we've lost our spark. Our lives are successful and beautiful. Our children are healthy, but life somewhere along the way just became so overwhelming and layered and complicated. And if you find yourself wondering, what do I even do for fun anymore? Who am I? Just feeling, I'm speechless right now because it's such a lost feeling, and I've been there, and I'm there in some ways now. It sort of ebbs and flows. All right, I got to move these notes over here. So I have some notes, but I don't want to be turning my head. So I'm going to move them to this screen. Okay. And if you find yourself wondering, who am I? What do I even do for fun anymore? Nothing sounds fun anymore. I don't even know who I am. Like, I get it. I've been there. I'm there in some ways now. All of my clients have been there at some point. So if that is you, I'd love to meet you. You can head to the episode notes for more information on my coaching offerings and how we can work together. The main offer I have right now is one-on-one coaching. So that's you and me in a Zoom call for 45 minutes talking about whatever you want. I usually recommend buying 12 sessions at a time so we can get some momentum and get going. You can schedule them every week, every other week. And then in between our sessions, you can still get coaching from me sort of in the moment by downloading an app that I use called Voxer, which is a free app where you can basically leave really long voicemails for each other. Some of my clients are attracted to me because I don't drink anymore in everyday life. And so I talk a lot here on the podcast about alcohol and untangling yourself from it. Looking at the downloads of this podcast, that's really what you guys care to listen to for the most part. So I try to really focus on that here. So I work with clients on that too, but many of my clients don't have an issue with alcohol. So we talk about life and confidence and getting their spark back. So hit me up on DM at She Just Glows. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and I'm on TikTok now. It's too much fun. I'm just like talking to a bunch of strangers on TikTok. At least here on Facebook and Instagram, I know you guys and you know me, right? TikTok's like a whole other beast, but it's interesting. It's fun, whatever. You can also head to the episode notes and click the link that I've put for you there and just schedule a free discovery call with me. You can ask questions. It's 30 minutes long, and I can learn more about how I can support you. So I'm going to roadmap this episode for you because I know you're busy, and I want to lay out for you the value that you will get out of hanging in this episode with me. I'm going to share 4 journal prompts for you to explore what aging gracefully means to you. I'll also be uncovering my 3 reasons that women are terrified of aging. Some things I want you to think about if you do things for preventative maintenance Again, just think about them. Just think about them. I'm not calling anyone out here, and I'll get to that. The two things that aging gracefully mean to me personally. Does that make sense? What aging gracefully means to me personally, I have two things I'll share there, and then 7 aging examples from my own life that I'm deciding to accept. I'm just deciding to accept, and there's freedom in that, and I'm going to get into all of that. I've started wondering the last few years why we've decided that aging and wrinkles and gray hair is so bad. So bad that we need to spend thousands of dollars fixing it, lots of time and worry and research and energy on changing how we look and how we interact with this world. Before I go any further, I asked on my Instagram, @SheJustGlows, what does aging gracefully mean to you? And I loved some of your responses. Kyler Fisher started out with a great one. Aging however you want, whether 100% natural or doing all the things your own way. So again, I'm not going to be shaming anyone here. I know many of you do Botox and fillers and preventative maintenance. That's why I'm talking to you. I'm in your world. I get it. Most of my friends do all of this too. So no shame here, no judgment. If you've been here any amount of time, I hope you know that is not what She Just Glows is all about. But I do want to challenge you a little bit. I want to challenge you a little bit on why you're feeling the pull to do these things. Because what kind of a life coach and what kind of a joy coach would I be if I didn't challenge you in these episodes? So I'm the first to admit I have tried to stop aging in many ways. I haven't done any Botox or fillers per se, but I've tried to figure out, how do I dress cool now? Skinny jeans are out. All these crazy, ugly, baggy jeans are in. So unflattering. Like, who thought of that terrible idea? I've been, interested in how the cool girls are doing their makeup now. There's the clean girl aesthetic, how they're dressing, how they're doing their hair, the accessories. They've got the little gold hoops. Like, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid too. I'm not above this conversation. I've fallen into this trap myself. And what I want to talk about today is why it's a trap. It's a trap because we are believing that we need to look younger in order to be happy. And that is simply untrue. Alyssa Jacks said that aging gracefully means to her, quote, leaning into the wrinkles and gray, but keeping up with looking nice, like being well-groomed. I know what she means here. We used to call that in my family growing up, she's so classy. She's so classy. Like, we know she's older. She's a respectable older woman. And just the way she carries herself, there's a pride, there's an elegance, there's an elevated way that she views herself. And I want some of that. I love that answer. Denal Frank said, both physically and mentally aging with grace. And I love this, leaning into your truest self. Couldn't agree more. Aging gracefully is not seeing yourself as less than and needing work, but as an eternal work in progress and a woman who knows who she is through and through and loves that person. We all need work on that, right? I wouldn't have a job if we didn't need work on that. I need work on that myself every single day. If you're in that category, hit me up. I'd love to meet you. So I joined TikTok like a year or two ago, and I found this woman on there who I love watching. Her name is Dr. Amanda Hansen, and her hashtag, or what's it called? Her handle is the Midlife Muse. And so she talks about a lot of things, but the videos that I really relate to and engage with are the ones about this revolution that she's trying to trigger of being proud of your age and walking into your world without shame. And I just became so attracted to this energy that she puts out in her videos. The one that really hooked me was, she said, I was in my early 40s and everyone around me started talking about what they're having done to them. And she was sitting there thinking, like, I didn't know we were afraid of like what's coming next, right? She says, our world wants women to be insecure. And why is that? Why is that? And I'm going to touch on that as we go through the episode. Why does our world want women to be insecure? Because we buy products when we're insecure. We buy things we think will fix us. Look at the shelves at any store. Go into Walmart. Go into Macy's. You will see product after product telling you there's something you need to fix with yourself, with your hair, how you smell, the wrinkles on your face, the way that your hands look. I mean, anything. She also talks about injectables, and she asks a really interesting question. She says, we would actually sacrifice our health to look better and not question the safety of it. So Botox is something so many people do. I don't claim to be a doctor or a scientist. I don't know the safety of it, just like I don't know the safety of many things. I do know that I've seen a few videos about like Jennifer Aniston, if you've seen her lately, 80s, 90s babies. She was Rachel on Friends. Like we grew up idolizing her. She was the ultimate young, fresh-faced, dirty dishwater, blonde hair, perky Rachel, right? And I've seen some photos and videos lately. And again, this just goes into my point of why social media can be so toxic, which I will get into as we go through this episode. But I did see a video about basically like underneath her eyes, there's a lot of puffiness that's accumulating. And I guess it's like when injectables keep like ballooning up and it makes the face look kind of deformed, honestly. And it's like, she didn't know. And I'm not saying that that's what that's from, but it probably is. And we don't know what the impacts of all these things are, do we? She says, so this Dr. Hansen, the midlife muse, says she would have her friends tell her, well, I'm doing it for maintenance. I'm doing it for preventative measure. And her question is, maintenance of what? Preventative of what? She says, we're using poison to mute our faces, to look the same, to look softer and more youthful, but at what cost? And again, I'm not trying to villainize Botox, but I want you to consider that as I go through my day, I can tell who's had work done and who hasn't. And the funny thing about many people who get this kind of work done is that you just look like an older person who's trying to look younger. You don't actually look younger. Is it just me? It seems like the whole goal is to just look like everyone else, to not have the wrinkles, to not have the signs that you've become wise. You've learned a lot. You are a woman in your 40s. You've earned your stripes. So why would we want to erase or take that away? This is just food for thought. I am not saying there is anything wrong if you get your fillers and your Botox. Like I said, most of my good friends do all of this. No shame at all. But I just want to present some food for thought here. So this is the core exercise of this episode. I want you to try if it feels right, okay? I want you to sit with yourself, and this would be an idea. If I was talking about this topic with a client, after every 45-minute Zoom call, I send the client an email, which they love. And I love the ones I get from my life coach too. I'm a life coach and I also have my own life coach because my life coach writes out everything we talked about, action points, and I do the same for my clients. And I also include homework, optional homework if you want to progress this work forward and keep the momentum going outside of our 45-minute Zoom. So if I was talking with a client about this topic, I would suggest this for her homework. So sit with yourself and pay attention to what feels real and right for you. Let me ask you this, and this would be really, really great journal prompt material. So if you're a journaler, I highly recommend journaling. I have a whole podcast about journaling. If you're not a journaler, all good, but maybe something to think about. Listen to these journal prompts to really sit with why you're feeling pulled to erase the signs of aging in your life. Journal prompt 1. What is my standard of beauty? What do you look to decide what's beautiful? Do you look to TikTok where everyone's 20 to 25 years old? I've been guilty of doing that in the last few months. No wonder my confidence has gone down. I'm looking at people half my age thinking I should be playing in this game. I've passed that game. I won that game. I'm twice their age. What is your standard of beauty? Prompt 2. How have I grown since I was 20? You have evolved, matured, grown, self-reflected, grown in character in so many countless ways since you were in your 20s. Write all of them down. Number 3, what do I want my daughter or my sons to remember about me? What's your legacy going to be? You're teaching them in your actions what's important. The way you spend your money, the way you spend your time, the things you talk about, the things you spend energy on. You're teaching your children what's important in the world. What do you want them to remember about that and about you? And journal prompt 4, I love this one. Think about the older women in your life, either now or as you were growing up. Your grandma, your aunt, that neighbor that you always went to vent about your family. Think about that relationship and just jot down some words in your journal that you think of when you think of them. Mine is automatically my grandma. I'm actually named after her. Her name's Janie. She passed away about 5 years ago. The best person I've ever known. She, in times in my life, was closer to me than my own mom. And she just had a grace about her that had absolutely nothing to do with the way she looked. I remember how prickly her arms were because she would shave her arms, but she wouldn't shave them often enough because whenever I touched them, they were prickly and they were always dry. But that was the most comforting place I could be, on those prickly, dry, wrinkly arms. I'd do anything to go back and have a conversation with her today. So when did we decide that looking old is so wrong? I have a few ideas of why our culture wants us to be terrified of aging. I have a few ideas of why our culture wants us to be terrified of aging. And I mentioned the first one before. Number 1, to make money. Duh. When women are afraid of getting old, they buy stuff. I've done it. You've done it. We've all done it. I mean, the earrings I'm wearing right now, they're little gold hoops. That's what the kids are wearing these days. That's why I bought them. Like, I'm right here with you. We buy the $200 moisturizers. We spend thousands of dollars on Botox. I just heard about red light therapy. Apparently that's the big thing now. Again, I'm not villainizing any of these things. I just want you to think about it. Number 2, we're also afraid of aging because in the Western world, we don't value our older populations, do we? I did a little research. In many Native American societies, old age brought respect and leadership. It was understood, I love this, that the experience and knowledge of elders was a resource that could be drawn on as a tribe made decisions for the future. Elders have always served Native American tribes heroically. They viewed them as heroes, as veterans, tribal and community leaders, memory keepers, holders and messengers of our traditional values, and as living examples of courage, perseverance, and modesty. In Japan and other Eastern cultures, elders are respected as well. They're put on a pedestal that is authentic because others know these older people are wise and there is inherent value in that. So where's the parallel in our culture? It doesn't really exist. It doesn't. We don't value aging and old age like other cultures do. So it's no wonder why we're so afraid to age. In my opinion, the most powerful woman in our culture is the young, fit, beautiful looking woman with the long blonde hair. Like, I have that image in my mind. I mean, I remember when I was in TV news and I was that young lady. I would go run errands after work. I'd still be in my work clothes. I had my long blonde hair. I had all my full makeup on. And I was like 25 and I'd go to Walmart after work and do my grocery shopping, okay? Every head would turn, and I'm not bragging. It just did, they did. Like, everyone turned to look. And then I got pregnant and stopped working And I'd go into Walmart and I had a baby and I'm thinking, oh, everyone's going to want to see this baby. No, no one cared. No one cared. I didn't have that same power in our culture to get people's attention. I've never really thought about that before, but that is so true. I just got used to everywhere I'd go after work, people would turn and stare. And that's because I feel that women in our culture, the 20-year-old who's fit and beautiful, holds a lot of power in our culture. And as you get older, I think that people can look at you as a liability. They can also look at you as just not knowing as much. The third reason I think our culture wants us to be terrified of aging, well, what are you doing all day? What am I doing all day? I'm on my phone. I'm online. We go to Instagram. We go to YouTube. We go to the TV. We go to Facebook. We go to TikTok. See, what we have now versus even 50 years ago is a totally unrealistic standard of beauty. Because think about it. When you go on your phone, you are seeing the most gorgeous people on the planet. Like right in the palm of your hand as you sit in your bed. You are seeing the most gorgeous people on the planet. You are seeing the most successful people on the planet. It's no wonder we are far less happy with the way we look. In previous eras, the standard of beauty was set by a handful of people who lived next door to you. Your small circle of people you saw every day at church, in the neighborhood, in the grocery store, that's it. Truly. Sure, maybe you'd buy a Cosmopolitan magazine, or what were the other magazines I used to read in junior high? Oh gosh, I'm blanking out. But all those, all those beauty mags, Glamour, Red Book. Yeah, you'd flip through a few of those pages once a month. So I'm kind of weird. I love researching ancient humans, like the beginning, like 50,000 years ago humans. I love anthropology. So 50,000 years ago, a person would not encounter more than a few hundred humans in their entire life. In their entire life, a few hundred humans. Some people have that many at their wedding, right? According to a book I read, humans lived for millions of years in bands of a few dozen individuals. So like 12 families of 5. That was it. So you weren't comparing yourself to Giselle. You weren't comparing yourself to Kim Kardashian. You didn't even know who that was. You didn't have access like we do now. So 5,000 years ago, picture you're an 18-year-old in a small village. Okay, this is also from some of my research. I love this anecdote. You're an 18-year-old. You're comparing yourself and your looks to the 50 other women in the village. 50 other women. And most of them were scarred, old, still kids. So you liked how you looked. You liked how you looked because there wasn't that much to compare to. Today's teens are obviously so much more likely to feel inadequate. And the book says, even if those at your school are ugly, you don't measure yourself against them, do you? You measure yourself against movie stars, athletes, supermodels you see all day on TV, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You're comparing to the best of the best. People you'll never meet, people who don't live near you, people who are in completely different life circumstances than you. This is one of many reasons we have vowed that we will not allow any of our children to have cell phones until they're 18. We've held out so far. We've got a 13-year-old. He's in his second year of middle school. He's the only kid on the bus who doesn't have a cell phone. And he complains about it and says people make fun of me. And I said, that sucks, but we do things differently. And I really think he'll be better for it. I hope I hold out for another 5 years. I do have a little tracker in his backpack, an AirTag in all my kids' backpacks. So I at least, know where they are when they're coming home from school and everything. Heck, even when I started this blog back in 2014, I started She Just Glows. I was a young mom with 3 boys at home. No, I was a young mom with 2 boys at home at that time. I now have 3 sons and a daughter. I had 2 kids at that time. They took 4-hour naps from 12 to 4 p.m. My boys would nap. I got bored and I missed writing. So I started writing essays about the struggles of early motherhood. And even back then, like, the socials were so different. I remember, like, I was a baller when I first started on Facebook. I had everyone liking my posts. I thought I was such a big deal. I mean, I thought I was the only mom blogger out there, writing about my life. And now, I mean, the market is just so oversaturated. Like, there's so much noise. Like, you look in, not that I want to be a mommy blogger, but like, you look in that space and you're seeing size 2 women who are gorgeous, whose kids are gorgeous, and they have 10 of them. Like, it's just a different game now. Like, now I'm a loser, and I accept that. I accept it. All right. So what does aging gracefully mean? It means different things to different people. For you, it might mean getting Botox when you feel like it and feeling good about that. Good for you. For others, it might mean working out 5 days a week and feeling strong. You do you. Here's what aging gracefully means to me. I have 2 things. Number 1, loving yourself and valuing your character over your appearance. This is a journey for me. I still struggle with this. I looked in the mirror at the YMCA the other day and it ruined my whole Saturday because I was like, I have cellulite all over my legs. My legs are that big. I have fat all over my arms. Like, it looks like I don't even work out, but I do. Brought me down completely. And I just had to keep remembering and reminding myself, my value is not in how I look in the mirror at the YMCA. My value is in who I am as a person, as a friend, as a wife, as a mom, as someone who loves myself. Only you can do that for yourself, though. Like, no one could rescue me from those feelings when I looked in the YMCA mirror the other day. I had to dig deep and get really real about what my value is and what I'm believing about myself. The second thing aging gracefully means to me is something I'm really, really loving right now, and it's very freeing. Aging gracefully means accepting that aging is natural and beautiful. Aging is natural and beautiful. We're told to fight it. And yes, there is nothing wrong with wanting to do things to keep yourself healthy, young, and alive. But aging is natural. There are so many things happening in my life personally right now with my body that have been hard. And I'm going to share some of them, and I'm trying to accept all of them. One of them is I'm more tired now. I need more sleep. I used to get up at 5 a.m. every day or earlier with no issue at all. Now, it's hard to get up by 7, no matter when I go to bed. My hormones are changing. I sweat at night. Ew. My skin is feeling thinner in places. Like, when I do plank, I notice like the top of my quads kind of like the skin kind of like bags down. You know what I mean? Like, it hangs. It's not a lack of muscle. It's just like, it's like the skin's older. I don't know. My belly is getting softer. Like, no matter what I do, like, we're at an, it is where, what I've come to is I'm in, it is what it is. The era of it is what it is. There's no rewinding all of this stuff for me. It just is what it is at this point. And I'm okay with that. One that I have a really hard time accepting is that I am doing the same workouts and eating that I've done for 15 years, and I'm like 15 to 20 pounds heavier than I want to be right now. Putting in the same amount of work or... Okay, sorry. That was my dogs. Hey, no. Okay, can you be quiet? Okay. Another one I'm having a really hard time accepting right now is working out and eating. Like, I've been doing the same thing for 15 years, but I am a good 15 pounds heavier than I want to be right now. Doing the same thing or more. Like, harder workouts, more strict eating. Like, not seeing the results. It's really frustrating. That's a fact that I'm learning to accept. My face is showing a lot more wrinkles. That's a fact I'm working to accept. I don't care that much about wrinkles, honestly. I do care about my saggy chin. Underneath my chin, it just kind of sags. I've got the gobble gobble going on. My hair has always been thin and fine, but now it's really thin to the point where like I don't even want to wear it down because it's see-through. It's like blonde and see-through. Heaven forbid someone's walking by our house. The dogs must bark. Okay. So for so long, like when I was drinking a lot, I thought my hair was thinning from my drinking. So I was like, oh, I need to, I'm curious when I quit drinking if it will help. And it did help, but I still have thin hair. Like I haven't consistently drank alcohol for over 3 years. My hair is still very thin. I've done Rogaine. I've done the shampoos. I've done pills, supplements. I feel like I've tried it all. And you know what I've come to in the last like 2 months? I'm just going to accept that I have thin hair. My mom does. My grandma did. Thin, fine hair runs in our family. It's in my genes. So like, I'm not going to keep freaking out about it. And I got to tell you, once I just finally said, I'm going to put this down for a bit, it was so freeing. To me, that's what aging gracefully is. Accepting what is. For me, that's what it is. One thing I am going to try though, this is my last ditch effort. I had the idea that I would, so I have this, it's like a hair piece. It's called a halo. Okay. And it's a circular clear piece of fishing line, basically, with hair on the back of it. So you set it on the crown of your head. You cover it with your hair. It's not permanent by any means. You just put it on when you do your hair and you take it off at night. Like you can't thrash your head around, or anything like that. Can't go on a roller coaster or go running with it, but it makes my hair thicker. So the one that I have is like long. It's like long hair, like down to my mid back, where my hair is actually just past my shoulders. It's shorter hair. So I've decided, I used to wear it. I call her Veronica. So I used to wear Veronica for fun nights out, and I'd suddenly have long blonde hair and a bunch of it, and I haven't worn it in a few years because I just don't feel like myself when I'm wearing it. I don't really look like myself. I don't have long blonde hair. I have short blonde hair. And I decided last week, I said, you know what? I'm going to take this into my hairstylist and she's going to cut it to about the length of my hair now and maybe thin it out a little bit. And I'm going to see if I like wearing that when I decide to wear my hair down. And I'm going to try it. And if I like it, great. If I don't, it's okay. I'm sure you have a list of things from your body and your life that are changing right now. I just gave you a list of 7 or 8 things. I could give you 20 if you had the time. I have to tell you how freeing it's been to take a few things off that list and just say, I accept what is. Because here's the difference. You can either say, I can't believe this is happening to me and I have to reverse all of this. And there's a sense of urgency and there's a sense of slapping money on it and like worrying about it. And that's fine. You might have some things in your list where that's the right call for you to address that. You can also say, I accept that my body is changing and I'm excited to be growing older and wiser. And I'm excited for what's next in my life. Well, the second one sounds a lot more appealing to me. So, these are just a few things to think about. I don't know anything about anything. This is just a few things I put together and wanted you to think on and chew on, maybe do some reflection on. And I also want you to know that you are beautiful. And I also want you to know that you are beautiful no matter what you look like, no matter how many wrinkles you have, no matter how much cellulite you have, no matter how much baby weight you have from that baby who's 15. You matter. Your impact on this world is so much bigger than that reflection in the mirror. You have to know that. And if you don't know that, that's okay. I can stand in that space for you. But if you don't believe that about yourself, no one can believe it for you forever. It's on you to do that inner work, to take a hard look at why you're feeling pulled in these different directions. And if nothing else, just be aware of it. All right, guys, thanks for being with me. I'll see you next time.